Hey guys, this is Mafia Ace, or at least according to the cryptid photo, and today we are going to be showing you all one of my viewers' newest Comp Dead by Daylight ideas. Now, what I mean by this is a new rule set, and practically what I feel like would be a really good way to revolutionize how we see Comp Dead by Daylight. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Comp Dead by Daylight? That's disgusting! But I honestly kind of see why some people like it. I definitely know there are people that want a challenging, competitive aspect to games, even if it's a party game. I remember there were Fall Guys tournaments. Rest in peace, Fall Guys. You may have had a short run, but you were still one of the most fun games I've ever played. Out of the way. That out of the way. If you ever want to be featured in another video, just shoot me a Discord DM, or you can join our Gangsters Discord. That will be in my About. You can find that just by clicking on my name. It'll show you my Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube links, and you will get the latest info on all my updates. Also, we are going to be shooting up a Patreon, so if you ever want to see me support any other content creators for charity streams, ever want to see me get new equipment, want to see me get a PS5 so you don't have to watch laggy content, you can go support that. I am setting it up right now, and I will shoot the people at Patreon a message to see if they want to support me. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention who this person that sent it is. A very old viewer of mine, definitely one of the OGs. His name is Mr. Drakenator. He helps me with, for the most part, YouTube advice consisting of like what videos I should make and whether or not something could be cringe or not. I almost went through a Fortnite phase, but he didn't stop me from that one, but I stopped myself from that one. But still, very cool guy. He has a YouTube channel too, so I will leave a link to his YouTube in the description. And as I was saying, let's actually get into the video and what I think is a really good idea. Yeah, nice 360 Jill. By the way, if you see if you see a Twitch streamer named Love Strawberry, feel free to send them some hate because they streamed today, and as y'all know, it's a day off of Twitch, and we shouldn't be doing that. So feel free to send them a good old fuck you. Anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, so this is extremely in-depth, and I'm going to be going through every single rule on this Google Doc. So, let's read it. I know it sounded really angry, but I stubbed my toe, so. Alright. General rules. Only the following 3 maps will be used: Coal Tower, Wrecker's Yard, and the Father Campbell's Chapel. The killer's chosen character will be known by the survivors before the match starts and before they ban perks. Coin offerings are not allowed for either side. Now, a lot of these rules correlate with other rules, because I did have a quick gander at this before, and I definitely know that most of these rules correlate to later ones. So if it sounds really weird that the cut coin is banned, give it a minute, it'll be described. So, Coal Tower, Wrecker's Yard, and Father Campbell's Chapel. This is a good alignment because this bans maps such as The Game or Underground Complex, Haddonfield, and other maps where it can be extremely frustrating to play as either side. So, Coal Tower, widely known as one of the most balanced Macmillan maps. Wrecker's Yard, probably the best Auto Haven map now, and a lot of the Auto Haven maps are really bad. And Father Campbell's Chapel, this has a lot of balanced loops. However, I feel like I would replace Father Campbell's Chapel with more or less something. Maybe if they want to go like full tournament mode, I would put in Purgation, because that map's way more open and it requires the killer to be extremely diverse with their plays and the survivors to be in areas where they have blockages. As y'all know, Purgation is a very open map. The killer's chosen character will be known by the survivors before the match starts and before they ban perks. This is good because that way the survivors aren't spooked or surprised or have to do a lot more planning than they thought to balance out the killer's general playstyle. So that's very good, and before they ban perks, again, correlates. And coin offerings are not allowed for either side. I'm just going to explain it before survivors can do a gen, actually no, we'll say it. Before survivors can do a gen, they have to cleanse a totem. I think it's a hex totem or a totem, or open a chest. So that's definitely usable. Alright, let's get into killer rules. Must use Hex the third seal and Hex Huntress's Lullaby. You may use any perk of your choice for the other 2 slots, except for the perks banned by survivors. Note, Hex Seal of the Hunt, Hex Undying, and Hoarder are banned by default. No add-ons are allowed. You may ban 3 perks for the survivors. So let's go down one by one. Must use Hex the third seal and Hex Huntress's Lullaby. I know that, as I told you before, they have to cleanse a Hex totem or a regular totem or open a chest. And this works out because Huntress's Lullaby is probably your closest bet to Ruin, because you know the survivor's probably going to ban that. And then third seal, I feel like that's a given, because with third seal you have a very good idea of which survivors are weaker and which survivors are top chain. Thrill of the Hunt, Hex Undying, and Hoarder, obviously. Thrill of the Hunt, you gain a notification when someone touches a totem. I think it's a Hex totem or a totem. It's a Hex totem, yeah. You gain a notification when someone touches a Hex totem. And, it's slower. Hex Undying, obviously, replaces Hex totems. And Hoarder, you know when someone opens a chest, they get worse rarities. Alright, survivor rules. Each survivor is allowed to use 2 perks of their choice, except perks banned by the killer. Note, Plunder's Instinct, Small Game, and Counterforce are banned by default. As a team, they can agree on 2 killers to ban from the roster. As a team, they can agree on 3 perks to ban for the killer. Each survivor must either cleanse a Hex totem or search a chest for an item before they can begin preparing generators. Okay, so it is specifically a Hex totem, so that makes more sense. I think there's more. Yeah. The item found does not matter. If the item is a door key or skeleton key, it is not allowed to be used. That is a smart idea. So again, we'll go down to each. Each survivor is allowed to use 2 perks of their choice, except perks banned by the killer. Obviously, if survivors all have 4 perks, that's 16 against 4. That's really unbalanced. Very bad. And I feel like that's one of the things a lot of killer players complain about, is that it's 16 versus 4. And a lot of time nowadays, you have to deal with the same thing 4 times, and it's very annoying, and I understand. So this is definitely smart. Plunder's Instinct, Small Game, and Counterforce, obviously. Plunder, so you can't just like easily just scoop right to a gen, not scoop right to a gen, scoop right over to a Hex totem or chest and just fly right through it. Small Game, no Hex totems. Counterforce, no Hex totems. As a team, they can agree on 2 killers to ban from the roster. Obviously, if the survivors want to have a better chance, ban Blight, Spirit, Hag, Nurse. I don't think he's used that much, but Oni, Pyramid Head, Deathslinger, killers like that. As a team, they can agree on 3 perks to ban for killer. Smart. Pop goes the Weasel, Hex Ruin, Barbecue, Lethal Pursuer. Any gen slowdown perks, Corrupt, Eruption, literally anything else, etc. Each survivor must either cleanse a Hexam or search a chest for an item. Now this is where I have to give the most props to Mystery Draconator, because this is an amazing rule. The biggest issue with Dead by Daylight right now, and sometimes Comp, is that generators go by too fast because the survivor can just hop right onto one. That's why Corrupt is such a nice perk. A survivor can just hop right on a gen and it screws you. So this is an easy way to make it to where the killer doesn't have to like immediately go off. They can have at least a little bit of time to, you know, do a few things. So yeah, item found doesn't matter. Of course, you can't use a dual or skeleton key because that's just not right. Now, scoring system. Each survivor player and killer player have their own individual scores. If 3 or more survivors escape a match, all of the survivors in that match get a point. If 3 or more survivors die in a match, the killer gets a point. If 2 survivors escape and 2 die, neither survivor receives a point. Killers only compete against other killers, and survivors only compete against others. Killers only compete against other killers, and survivors only compete against other survivors for the most points. So this is definitely more a team-based thing. So, like, of course, team is going to be versing their own team. So, of course, it's going to be fair, you know, no bias, obviously. But killer player, survivor player on one team do their best. See how everyone does. Wait. Oh, so this is like a solo type thing. Oh, I kind of get this now. So, I want y'all to think about, for a good example, I want y'all to think back to the Tokyo Olympics. You know how obviously you had United States, Russian organization, I forgot what the C stood for, China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Britain, Syria, etc. And you want to think about it, each country has their own individual points, and they're competing against everybody else to see who can have the highest score. And if you go specifically into individual matches for the Tokyo Olympics, you can see that the U.S. competes against other U.S. to see who can get the gold medal. So, think of that when you think of this. So, killers will compete against other killers either in their team or against other teams to see who will have the highest score at the end, and same thing for survivors. Now, we are officially done. Oh, no, wait. I barely read anything else. Each survivor player and kill player have their own individual scores. If 3 or more survivors escape a match, all the survivors in that match get a point. So, let's say Susie, Lucy, and Big Dick Johnson all escaped. Then that means the dude that died still gets a point because his teammates outdid the amount of kills. If 3 or more survivors die in a match, the killer gets a point. Obviously, greater than half. So, if 2 survivors escape and 2 die, neither receives a point. Obviously, tie, draw. So, now we are at the end, and I'm going to make my recommendations for what I think needs a little bit of work. So, number 1, let's go back to general. Let's just go back to general rules. Let's go back to where you can't post the memes. So, again, as I said in the beginning, I feel like Father Campbell's Chapel is a really bad one because that map has a ton of loops that involve breakable walls, and you also have to combine that with the fact that there are a ton of layouts on that map. Like if you go to the main building, and you get this one loop where it's like there's a breakable wall where like a bunch of like broken wood is, and then there's 2 like brick windows on either side of each other. That's a really bad one because you practically can't counter that as a killer unless you're playing like Spirit or Nurse or Deathslinger. So I say change it to something like Purgation. It's open. Killers have more viability there. And when I said it's more open, it's larger too, so it adds a bit more challenge in case. And what I would do with that is if they wanted to go with Temple of Purgation, the points would be doubled, and if you lose, the negative points would be doubled as well. So let's say if you were to choose Coal Tower and you win, you get +1 points. However, if you're on Temple of Purgation and you win, you get 2 points. Let's say you lose a match on Coal Tower, you get less of a point, or I think you just get no points. And if you lose on Temple of Purgation, you actually can lose a point. So I think that'd be a very balanced out thing. So let's go to killer rules. Third seal, I'd probably replace that with maybe something a little more tame. Actually, that is pretty tame, never mind. So, for the 2 slots hit from the perks spam by survivors. Okay, killer rules are pretty good. Survivor rules, all of these are fairly decent. Scoring system, okay. So, my advice for this is don't try to make it to where this isn't even competitive anymore. It's just downright, literally like trying to kill in real life. So, it's good, but what I feel like we need to do is just make it a little more tame. Make it more, how do I put this? A little more simple. Because right now, this kind of hints towards a way more competitive setting because everyone is competing with everyone. And that can lead to some really bad stuff. But that'll be it for today. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Again, shout out to Mr. Drake Native for sending this in. Be calm, be nice, and above all else, enjoy your life. My name is Mafia Ace, and I'll see you later.
How did I debate him? How?
Take care, everybody.